everyone, Draco Magnius here for another episode of Let's Play Nier. In the last episode, we came to the Forest of Myth, talked to the mayor here, and learned about the Death Dream by being infected by it. And eventually escaping. In this episode, we're going to try and free the other villagers around here before we move on, because, I mean, they're also trapped in the Death Dream. So it just makes sense to, you know, help them out. Is this a guy or a gal? Kind of hard to tell. I want to say it's a guy. This must be another person infected by the Death Dream. It would appear that way, yes. Enter this villager's dream? Yes. Gods, please don't tell me we have to go back in there. I'm not good at this mind game crap. I'd rather hit something in the face and be done with it. Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission. Yeah. I breathe air scented with death, and I resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked under a stairway in the long, unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside, I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that seems without end. Light has no place here. Wind is a forgotten friend. I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes. An eternity slips by in a single tick of the clock. Someone knocks on my prison! Hey! Anyone there? I hear an unfamiliar voice say. My savior! I claw at the door of my jail, embedding thick splinters under my ragged nails. I scream for help. I laugh! I sob! Surely this is a product of my addled mind! Surely it cannot be true! Help me! I cry. For the love of all the gods, help me! Impossibly, I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired man and a floating book before the light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to the blackness, explode with pain, and I'm forced to turn away. Who are you? I ask, shaking hands covering my face. How have you come to this place? I am Grimoire Weiss, and this is Nier. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand. We shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as Nier extends his massive hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to the freedom, my ears are as keen as ever, and they recognize the staccato sound of heavy rain. I never thought to hear the rain again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimoire Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open to see water pooling around my feet and lapping at my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more to come. Fumble. Yes, and more comes each moment as we delay. If we do not make good on our escape, we shall all drown in this castle. We know that you're weak, but you are our only hope to survive this place. Time, that long-forgotten friend, made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers, no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like an endless entrails of a giant. I squint down dim corridors and proceed north. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds, resting atop the carpet of velvet. All are covered in thick layers of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter. It has been shoved against the side of the wall, despite my fever. I think I see the outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger to touch a piece of the mass, it turns to dust and drifts away on the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from it to the beds, and back again, until the horror dawns full upon me. Someone has piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know. And sanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound. Whether scream or laughter, I cannot be certain. Then my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving that most terrible of rooms. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed east or south. Well, we went north. If we go south, we just go back to where we came, so east. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. I squint down the dim corridors, proceed east, west, or north again. Let's see the east. At the end of the path, I find myself in a great hall with the only sounds of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table, upon which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see many chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's head. But as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recoil in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse, as are all the invited guests. An army of foul, wriggling insects have made homes in their remains. And this is the movement I saw. This once splendid feast was now nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands, and then slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abomination before me, my gaze lands on the chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chairs prove to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run from the seat, up the back, and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only pray that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. For if not, it is a simple task to envision the agonized screams that must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind grasps frantically at the possibility that these souls had committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment. Though in truth, I suspect they had committed no crime at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. I squint down the dim corridors. I could go back to the west and go to the west again at the end of the path. A row of heavy wooden casks lie on their side in the dark chamber. Doubtless they are filled with wine. My thirst roars to life. I cannot remember the last time my parched throat had relief. I scramble to the first cask and pull frantically at the cork. The theft of a few cups means nothing, I tell myself. The cask will be ruined by the flood regardless. Finally, the cork surrenders to my attack, and thick red liquid bursts forth from the hole. This is no wine. It is blood. Still warm from the body! Whether animal or something else, I cannot say. The foul liquid soon mixes with the rising floodwaters, creating a warmth that laps against my thighs. By all the gods! Are the rest of these casks filled with blood as well? I lack the courage to confirm my suspicion. Disgust quickly becomes fear as I turn to flee, but my weakened legs betray me, sending me toppling over into the red ocean below. The smell of death is everywhere. It threatens to consume me. I must escape this hell! Crawling on all fours like an animal, holding back the screams, lest any foulness enter my mouth. I lurch forward, through the red waters, and out of the room to freedom! I squint down the dim corridors and proceed east. And now, north. At the end of the path. The waters rise to my waist, exhausting me both physically and spiritually. I pray that this is the way out. Eventually, I can stand the sight of the waters no longer, and so turn my eyes upward. Imagine to my surprise, when a series of paintings hanging on the faded plaster wall, when I see. Each depicts a person in the prime of life, clad in clothing of the highest quality. The styles, however, are strange to me, leading me to believe that these people had lived long, long ago. One subject wears an outfit that particularly catches my eye. It is constructed of a thin, greasy cloth, and decorated with a motif of flowers and birds, while encircling the figure's waist is a leather belt of the most perfect construction. It is a stunning costume even by modern standards. As I gaze at the portrait, I am struck by the desire to touch it with my own hands. Yet as I extend a single finger to the painting, I am gripped by a most unpleasant feeling. Closely at the image, I see it bend and warp into the shape of another figure. Something behind the picture is pointing at me! Is it another prisoner? A fellow inmate trapped for eternity in this place? I cannot let it pass, and so I seize the portrait with both hands and throw it into the water. The wall is hollow behind the painting, and inside I can just make out a body. Whether or not this is a prisoner, there would be no rescue. This poor soul is long dead. Scraps of clothing lie on the floor around the bones. Only a small amount of fabric has survived, but it features the same delicate designs that were depicted in the portrait. I've been admiring a row of corpses, blocked from view by portraits of each victim at their pinnacle. Enough! Shielding my eyes, I paddle forward through the water. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed south. Water has risen to my chin, and now laps greedily at my mouth and nose. "You dumb bast!" shouts Nier. Surely desires to say more, but the rest of his insult is cut short by the rising water. Grimoire Weiss, wet and tattered, floats on the water's surface. It is already too late for him. This wasn't how it was supposed to end! Game over! I wanted to explore. Okay, and now, instead of exploring, we proceed north. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. "Break it down!" someone cries, and so I give myself to the effort. In tandem with Nier and Grimoire Vice, who's a book so it doesn't really help all that much, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives way, and we find ourselves sprawled in front of the castle. The storm is in retreat. The clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west, I can see a thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. "How can I thank you?" I cry as tears join the rain on my cheeks. "I would surely have died in there." Looking down, I suddenly notice that my dress is in tatters, and sheepishly try to cover my exposed skin. Oh, is it a woman this whole time? Whoops. "Your dress?" asks Vice. "And you are a woman, madam?" "Yes, I am." I prefer the to a smile. I suppose that comes as something of a surprise, seeing how I exist only in the form of words. I can see that the one known as Nier is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides it well. With a nod and a shrug, the three of us set forth to our awakening. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the abandoned castle, providing the countless damned souls inside with their final shroud. After a moment, the castle's windows shatter with a mighty roar, as a fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. As we watch in awe, countless black shadows slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened to their new life as shades. Oh yeah, her appearance changed. You have anything to say about that? Hopefully there will be no labyrinth next time. I hear you. I thought that was alright. It was a pretty easy labyrinth. Yeah, before she had like a shroud on, covering her. Did they do that on purpose? I think they did that on purpose. Anyway, I guess he's the last person, right? I guess we can make this a slightly longer episode. I don't know how long his is going to take. And another victim! This work is certainly trying. Enter this villager's dream? Yes. I'm surprised, Weiss. You're a book. All this word stuff should be right up your alley. Yes. Quite. Well, enough chatter, let's be off. A colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Weiss and Nier had never seen such a sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in. Hey, Weiss, we keep walking, but those things don't get any closer. I don't get it. Are they really that big? As Weiss considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with a renewed ferocity. Perhaps they are some manner of mirage, he said. Under this heat, a mirage or two would hardly be an unexpected sight. Nier nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in its place. He thought he'd never been so thirsty. The ancient road on which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, thin wisps of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid this material down over their home. The heat reflected from the road made Nier lightheaded. Suddenly, he dropped to his knees and slammed his hands against the black surface. God damn it! He said. Is this some kind of joke? Well, I'm not laughing! The complaining had already begun. Weiss tried not to let his eyes roll too much. "A joke," he said. No joke. This road leads to the City of Art. Perhaps the path itself is simply some manner of grand artistic work." "Oh, come on! That's bullshit and you know it!" "Possibly. But thinking of it in this way might make it easier for you to bear." Nier glanced at Weiss with a grinning face, cursed silently to himself, then resumed walking. As time passed, Nier's feet grew more painful, and his throat drier than he thought possible. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead, because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. "We are definitely getting closer," said Weiss in an effort to cheer his companion. "Yes, this much is certain." Encouraged, Nier lifted his gaze. Suddenly he stopped walking, choosing instead to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open and his finger pointing in the distance. "Water!" he cried. "It's water!" "Water?" asked Weiss. "Preposterous. I don't see any water." "It's right there, idiot! Can you not see it? Look, the sun is reflecting off of it!" Without waiting for a response, Nier sprang to life and bounded toward the site. What in the... There was no water. There was nothing but sand in every direction. Nier closed his eyes and sighed as Weiss floated up behind him, chuckling softly. "I believe this is known as a mirage," he said. "Many a desert traveler has spoken of such things." Nier shook his head, bewildered. Suddenly, he pointed off in the distance, his eyes wide once more. "Wait! There it is! I just missed it! Look, it's right there!" Nier sprinted off again, leaving Weiss, but with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, Nier came to a halt. I could have sworn it was right around here. Confused, he put his hands up to his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he bounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour, until an exasperated Weiss finally floated up to Nier and struck him in the face with his cover. "You damn blithering idiot! Stop this at once! There is no water here!" Nier's face clouded. There isn't? There is not! And perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much! Weiss paused for a moment, then continued to speak in a slightly kinder tone. "However, I suppose this mad chase was not altogether wasted. It seems we have arrived in the City of Art." Nier looked up. Stretched out before him was a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. "They're huge!" cried Nier, completely forgetting the heat and pain of the past few hours. I've never seen anything so big!" Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle that stretched up toward the sky. But that is where the similarities ended. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflected the light in 1,000 different directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangular caps. "What kind of city is this?" said Nier. "Where are the people? Where are the houses?" "Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use." The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels sat silently on the steel rails. Beautifully carved works of lights, of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away from the massive sculptures, they found a great array of smaller ones. Some were covered in glass or brick, but many were composed of materials they had never encountered before. The sheer variety of colors and styles was staggering. Unable to find a theme or a purpose to the abstract works around them, Nier and Weiss eventually fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shape of humans. Nier uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally! I was getting tired of modern art. The 3 statues were indistinguishable except for a single word chiseled into their right arms. One read Alpha, one read Beta, and the final one read Gamma. As Nier moved to touch the nearest statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures. Alighting on the statue's shoulder, it emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. Only one form is real. The others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false one will only speak lies. With that, the bird departed. As if on cue, the 3 statues shuddered to life, acquiring color and form as they began to breathe. Hey, look at that, said Nier. They're alive. The triplets bowed low before Nier. Please, said Alpha. You have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real. Stop lying, said Beta. He turned to Nier and threw his hands into the air. Alpha's a fake. You know, I'm the real one. What a load of crap, said Gamma. Beta is a fake. Everyone knows I'm the only real one around here. Okay. Their respective pleas given, the 3 statues returned to their frozen state as silent once again enveloped the city. Their respective pleas given, the 3 statues returned to their frozen state as silence once again enveloped the city. Okay. It's the one tells truth, the others tell lies scenario. With 3 subjects. I gotta figure out which one has to be true. I'm gonna take a moment to actually think about this. Hold on. When you consider all of the statements, only one of them could be the real thing, said Weiss. Nier furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. Well, I'm glad you understand, Weiss, because I'm still not technically sure. Even after I thought for a moment. Only one form is real. The others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false one will only speak lies. Okay, well, hold on. Gamma said that Beta is a liar. But if he's a liar, Gamma, then him saying that Beta lies would cancel itself out, right? Think so? Let's go through them all. Alpha said that he was the real one. If he lies, that doesn't give any contradictions at all. Because he's lying about being the real one. Beta said that Alpha is lying. But if Beta were lying, then there's the contradiction. Well, that's only a contradiction if Alpha is in fact lying, right? Okay. I wish I could see their statements while considering this, because I feel like it's difficult for me to remember exactly what was said. Real one is Alpha, the real one is Beta, the real one is Gamma. Alpha was pleading that he was the real one. If he is telling the truth, Beta says that Alpha is lying. That is a lie. It makes sense working that way. But Gamma is saying that Beta lies, which is true, so it can't be Alpha. Right? Yes. Okay, so Beta. Now, let's assume that Beta is telling the truth. Alpha says that he's the real one. That is a lie. That makes sense. Gamma is saying that Beta's a liar. But that would make sense. Because I think it's Beta. The real one is Beta. Though Nier's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, he was relieved to see Weiss nodding at him. Oh, thank God. I had to suss it out. I had to talk about it to get it to make sense to me. If Alpha were telling the truth, began Weiss in the dry tones of a lecturer, Beta and Gamma would be fakes. But in that case, Gamma's claim that Beta is a fake would be the truth, even though Gamma's a liar. Therefore, the theory crumbles. Now let's presume that Gamma spoke the truth. That makes Alpha and Beta liars. In this situation, however, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which would leave us with two statues telling the truth. Finally, let's assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense. Therefore, Beta must be real. As Weiss finished his explanation, Alpha and Gamma crumbled soundlessly into dust, while Beta sprang to life once more. "Congratulations, villager," said Weiss in a cheerful tone. "It is the time to awaken has arrived." "Thank you for saving me!" cried the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as it could go before an uncomfortable Nier pulled him up to his feet. "Why did you have a dream like this?" asked Weiss. "Have you been to this city before?" The villager slowly looked around at the bizarre objects and sculpture that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could have ever been to a place like this. But at the same time, I feel like I've seen it before. Deja vu, muttered Nier. It's just like that damn mayor. The vague sense of unease that struck Nier during the mayor's dream spread once more through Nier's mind. Okay, that was terrible. I am positive I've seen that place before. Stop! Enough foreboding crap from everyone else in my life! Don't you start too! Okay, there. Now all the villagers can wake up, right? Yes, if the mayor's assumption was correct. I think I've had enough wordplay to last a lifetime, thank you very much. Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's go see the mayor. Alright, cool. To the mayor! Diddle-doo-doo. Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much. Here, I have something for you. Obtain the one-handed sword, Faith. Holy crap. I can really have this? Of course! It is apparently a weapon of some renown, but we have little use for it. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you again for everything. Let me just take a quick look at that brand spanking new weapon. I looked at the wrong one. It's Faith, not Rebirth. Is not that strong. Well, it's compared to my level 2 Beastbane, so that's not all that surprising. A sword carried by the world's most loyal servant. Like that loyalty, the sword's blade is straight and true. I have enough to pop this up a level. I need 30 broken antenna. I have that. I find it annoying I need that exact amount, but I have that. Right now it's heavy, but if I upgrade it, it goes to very light. Its magic power is nowhere near where my Beastbane is. I don't know what its level 3 looks like. I could try to level Faith and see if it looks good comparatively. Might be cool to wield a katana for a while. Oh, also word list. Not word list. I want word edit for my weapons. Rebirth. Don't know why I didn't do this. Might as well get every weapon fully equipped, you know, while I'm thinking about it. There. Alright, I think we're good then. Alright. I don't think there's anything else left to do in this town. I'm very curious about this tree, but it doesn't seem like there's anything to do with it. So, yeah. Let's go back to the entrance of the village real quick. I think we're going to end this episode here. In the next one, well, I guess we could head back to the village. I'll also head to the junk heap, you know, to see if I can upgrade Faith a bit more and make it better than Beastbane, possibly. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. See you guys then.